Please listen carefully.
Well, hello, universe, and welcome to the Optimist Daily Update. I'm Kristy Jansen.
And I'm Summers McKay.
And we're part of the team behind the Optimist Daily, making solutions the news. We bring you reader-funded solutions news every day in order to change the tenor of news media, social media, and the direction of your day to one focused on solutions.
7 days a week, we publish positive news stories written by award-winning journalists and delivered online to your inbox and through our social channels. And also, we are sharing these solutions in a commute-worthy, walk-worthy, home office-worthy, TGIF-worthy podcast. Today is Friday, the 15th of January, 2021. Well, Kristy, we made it through another week.
We did, and you showed up on Friday. We weren't expecting you to come to work today.
I know.
I thought you were going to be on the road driving back to California.
So we've had a little we've had an extension of our journey because we put an offer in on a house and it was accepted, and we want to stay for the inspection, which is going to be tomorrow. And then we're going to sort of get on the road immediately after the inspections are done tomorrow. So it's going to be we had this fantasy of this lovely weekend driving home and seeing the Grand Canyon and yada, yada. And clearly that is not going to happen. We are going to just barrel home as safely as we can so I can be back at my desk on Monday morning. But it's been a very, very fascinating week. And I was delighted this morning that because of our extended trip, I was able to come to work and spend time with you and Amelia and our customer service and marketing teams. And, it's one of those things. I really like what we do here at the Optimist Daily. We have pretty cool jobs.
We do. We are very lucky. And thank you, everyone who's in our audience, for helping us keep doing this.
So we have kind of a secret, breaking news type thing. Well, it's not really breaking news. We have a secret thing that's going to be rolled out for the Optimist Daily. Some of the Optimist Daily emissaries and some of our super emissaries. It's going to help you start your mornings better. And if you look at my Instagram or maybe some of the Optimist Daily Instagram over the next few days, you will get a hint at what is going to be coming from the Optimist Daily.
And another hint is in the View article I wrote last weekend.
We have another way for you to start your mornings better. So hang tight and keep an eye out. And we might get you on our pre-order list for better, brighter mornings. I, for example, am finishing my next cup of better, brighter mornings. How about you? I'm on 3 or 4.
Oh, I have had my 2, and I'm taking a little break until after lunch at least.
All right. So that was super not subtle, but it was also
and very confusing, and people may have huge expectations for something tremendous, but it's really just a mug. I'm sorry, I said what it was. It's fun. It's a fun new thing. We're investigating some merchandise.
Yes,
from the Optimist Daily.
Exactly. We're investigating some swag from the Optimist Daily. We have some amazing partners who are helping us look into getting some Optimist Daily mugs out to the world. They'll be available for purchase on optimistdaily.com in a couple weeks. And much to Amelia's dismay, no, we're not actually launching an Optimist Daily coffee line, but we'll certainly in our sourcing and our articles look for highly valuable companies where we could buy our coffee from. That being said, today we've got some great headlines on the Optimist Daily, a topic that I am a huge fan of in this wind turbine world. So, Kristy, is it cool if I kick it off with my article?
Yes, go ahead. Start with yours.
So this company is called Rewind, and the headline reads, Rewind wants to build things using old wind turbine blades. Now, as I've talked about, one of the biggest challenges with growing energy industry and these new sources of energy is that we must create a circular economy and factor in some of the waste challenges that happen so that we don't just create another behemoth waste or environmental issue down the road, whether it be the circularity in electric vehicle batteries, and in particular, in this instance, the circularity or opportunity to recycle or reuse wind turbines. We've written about wind turbines that were made out of wood and other ideas like that. So there are innovators all across the spectrum on this one. But Rewind is looking at basically the lifespan of 20 years of these older decommissioned wind turbines, which are currently filling up landfills, and they are looking for ways to reuse them. We've talked about that they're very difficult, they're large, they're made of fiberglass, durable, not biodegradable, and terribly difficult to recycle. So instead, Rewind is looking for ways to incorporate them in civil engineering projects. These researchers have their goal is to use old blades to construct large structures such as bridges, roads, and buildings. They recently received 3 40-foot long blades from a wind farm in Belfast. And basically, if they hold up to scrutiny, they're going to help build a footbridge out of them in Ireland. Now, what they'll use these blades for is in place of the standard steel girders, they're going to use the blades to anchor the construction of this footbridge. Their plan certainly doesn't stop there. In 2018, researchers published a paper with more than 20 suggestions for how blades could be used, from building skate parks and stadium bleachers to constructing noise barriers. Actually, gosh, that noise barrier idea gives me an idea because the property we just bought backs up to a pretty major highway and we're going to use trees, but maybe we could get a bunch of wind turbines, pile them up, and grow something green on them. I don't know. Anyway, I'm very excited about this. One of the things that my husband and I do talk about in concert all the time is how whatever companies are solving these problems, whatever companies are solving the recycling problems for wind turbines, are really the companies that are going to be high growth opportunity companies, because it's not just the solution of energy, but it is the solution of how we basically manage the whole production line.
Absolutely.
So I love this one.
I do too. And we've been following the growing circular economy, or sort of the growing idea of building circularity into our supply chains, into our production processes in all different industries. And I think this is kind of the way that we've had this extractive mentality, which has infected every aspect of our consumerist culture for the last 50 years or maybe even longer. We're moving towards sort of we're reevaluating that now that we're in the situation we are in terms of the environmental degradation that has followed off of that kind of thinking. And it's been several generations of just, build, extract. And now we have a heating atmosphere. We have trash everywhere. We have plastic filling up the oceans. We have asthma rates that are going crazy, all of these things. So the idea that we can, instead of just extract and build, consume, look at the things that we've already made and repurpose them, turn them into something that's still useful, and not consider them, just sort of clean up the waste stream. It's coming into so many different areas of our industry and so many different regions of our thought. And I think that, to me, that's what this story shows. It's not just an innovative solution talking about this new way of using these old blades. They don't biodegrade and it's hard to recycle them. So let's use them for, the base of a building or the base of a bridge or however makes sense. But it's a signal of the turning of thought into this kind of strategic use of what used to be considered just trash, and taking the end of life into account when you're actually building anything.
Well, and that is a very poetic and artistic perspective on how to do it. And that's something that's sort of anchored in us as humans, right? There's some poetry and some art, right?
Nice tee up to my chosen headline for the day, Summers. Thank you so much.
I'm on fire.
The story I wanted to highlight today is about cave art. And I've talked a little bit about being an anthropologist by training. Part of what that is I was fascinated by archaeology back when I was a teenager. I fell in love with Indiana Jones, the whole idea there. I wanted to be like the female Indiana Jones. I studied archaeology as an undergrad. I went on a couple of digs and field trips when I was in my teens and 20s before I settled on actual current human cultures. But so I always love it when we find new evidence of our ancestors, wherever they are in the world, and how it sheds deeper light onto the evolution of human culture, or the way that we have been human for even longer than we think sometimes, even though it's a tiny snapshot or tiny second in terms of the entire span of humanity. But recently, some scientists have found the oldest known cave art yet uncovered that depicts recognizable objects. And this is from the art section on the Optimist Daily. And arts are really a solution to me because it speaks to how we imagine the world, how we interact with the world, and how our human consciousness understands and gives meaning to things around us. And what they have found, some archaeologists have discovered the oldest known cave painting of animals. And these are life-size pictures of a wild pig that was made, it's been dated to at least 45,500 years ago. And it's on a cave wall in Indonesia. I think prior to this, it was in the 35,000 years ago that they had found cave art. But what this shows is that just because we haven't found a lot of paintings from longer ago doesn't mean that they weren't doing
exactly
art,
that
right?
They didn't exist, right?
But it's just that that's a long time for the ochre walls that have been painted to continue to show sort of the representational ideas of the people who were living on the earth in that time. But this artwork was found on an island in South Sulawesi, Indonesia. It's a pristine limestone cave. It shows 3 wild boars, which were native to the island of Sulawesi. And it sparks my imagination. The picture is very recognizable. You can see what they were painting. And they were able to date it because of a small deposit of calcium carbonate that had formed over the rear foot of one of the pictured pigs. So those deposits are dateable. Clearly, since it's layered over the painting, it shows that this painting was there more than 45,500 years ago. So anyway, I just wanted to highlight that because it speaks to how one of the things that we are as human beings is artists, and we are the artists of our own reality.
It's such a gentle reminder right now when we can feel so separate or feel so divided that we see our history and that we have, as humans, been doing this for a very long time. We've been telling stories and painting pictures, and it is perhaps a reminder that this moment is just a moment.
Exactly.
And there's a grace in knowing that.
Yeah. And we get so caught up in reacting to today and to the hyperactive headlines that have been kind of inflaming us that I find a lot of solace in looking back and seeing the whole scope of culture over time.
Yeah, very much.
And learning from that, being inspired by that, seeing how, in fact, today, most people on the planet are better off than most people on the planet were 45,000 years ago, probably.
Exactly.
There's so much positive to get connected to. And we are more similar than we are different. And that's what this kind of historical uncovering to me shows.
Yeah. Well, Kristy, thank you for that beautiful story and perspective on why it matters and why it is a solution for looking forward. We've got some other fantastic headlines this Friday on the Optimist Daily. Some of the
typo.
Well, no, not anymore. Amelia fixed it because Amelia fixes everything. Children's Hospital integrates nature within its design to improve well-being. It's a beautiful story. The Ivory Coast designates its first ever marine sanctuary. Moana would be delighted. I've only watched Moana 10,000 times on this trip. Oh, yeah. Retired mathematician repairs over 650 bikes in his town for free. There is a group rallying for mothers to become climate activists called Science Moms. I love that one. 5 reasons you should add cassava to your grocery list. Learn about that superfood. We're going to do some superfood diving, I think, here soon to understand what makes a superfood. What else do we have, Kristy?
Speaking of ancient animals, there's a European bison, which is no longer classified as a vulnerable species. They've had a resurgence there in the European homeland. There's an article about how to manage anxiety during uncertain times, crucial tips for today's world. Food and beverage giant PepsiCo has pledged to achieve 0 emissions by 2040. So they are jumping on the idea that we have responsibility to keeping the world habitable for humanity beyond the next few generations. And I like that. Thank you, PepsiCo. And that is it for today's Optimist Daily update and for today's headlines on the Optimist Daily.
As always, thank you for listening to the Optimist Daily Update. We promise to continue to share positive solution-based stories with ideas on how you can participate in this changing world and ensure it is changed for the good. We promise to cover the current events with accuracy, legitimate sources, and offer you the information needed most to chart new paths for all of us.
And if you're not already signed up, please consider becoming an emissary on the optimistdaily.com. And for just $5 a month, or a little bit more if you have the means, you can help support reader-funded independent journalism that is the Optimist Daily, and be a part of the solution-changing consciousness that addresses our world's biggest changes with a problem-solving mindset. Please help us keep the Optimist Daily free for everyone who needs it, supported by those of us who can. Thank you so much, everybody. Great to be here with you today, Summers, and I'm looking forward to having a great weekend. I hope everybody has a great weekend, and we'll be back on Monday with more.